Hi, in this video, we're going to look at finding the equation of a parabola given a vertex, focus, and or directrix. So this is just working backwards from our previous video. Having any two out of the three pieces of information is enough to be able to create the equation for that parabola. So example 2, we're going to find the equation of each parabola given the following information. So we have a focus point at 0, -3 and a directrix line of y equals 3. So let's take a look at that visually because it's a lot easier that way. So here we have our focus point at 0, -3 and our directrix line at y equals 3. So a couple things that we talked about in the past, a couple videos, that the distance from the vertex to the directrix line is going to be the same as the distance from the vertex to the focus point. Now, in terms of what we have here, our focus point is below our directrix line, and our directrix line goes through the point 0, 3, and our focus point is at 0, -3. So the vertex is going to be the midpoint of these two points. So the midpoint of 0, 3 and 0, -3 is the origin. So our vertex is going to be at the origin. So we can actually go ahead and graph that. And another thing we want to keep in mind is our vertex will not only contain the focus point, it will also never intersect the directrix line. So in this case, because our focus point is below our vertex, our parabola is going to open downward, which means when we write our equation, the value of a is going to be negative. So in this case, our value of p is 3 because our vertex is 3 units away from our focus point and our directrix line. So if we do a equals 1 over 4p, if we know the value of p is 3, we can make a as 1/12. And again, because our parabola is opening downward, we want the value of a to be negative. If it was opening upwards, it would be positive. So a is negative 1/12. So we have our value of a, we have our vertex, so we can write our equation as y equals negative 1/12 times x minus 0 in parentheses squared plus 0, which gives us negative 1/12 x squared. So if we just go ahead and check that, y equals negative 1/12 x squared, we have our parabola opening downward, and every point on the parabola will be the same distance from the focus point as it is from the directrix. All right, moving on to part B. Focus is at negative 1, 1. Directrix is x equals -3. So here we go for part B. And notice that this time our focus is to the right of our directrix, which means our parabola is going to be opening to the right. And we're going to start by finding the vertex, which is the midpoint of, in this case, 3, -1, and -1, 1. So the midpoint of that is at -2, 1. So we plot the point -2, 1. There's our vertex, and we know it's going to open to the right. So we need the value of p. The distance from the vertex to the focus point is a value of p, and in this case, the value of p is 1. So it's 1 unit away. So if p is 1, to get our value of a is 1 over 4 times p. Plugging in p as 1, we get a is 1/4. And since our parabola is opening to the right, a is positive 1/4. Now, if we goofed up and made it negative, what we would notice is that our parabola opens this way, which can't be right. So we could try it out with the positive 1/4 and have the right answer. So in this case, we have x equals 1/4 times y minus 1 in parentheses squared minus 2. And we can check that by graphing it, but I'm going to skip over that in the interest of time. All right, part C, this time we get a vertex and a focus point. So vertex is at 2, 1, focus is at 2, 3. So let's go ahead and hide this. And let's look at our vertex is at 2, 1, and our focus is at 2, 3. The nice thing is with having a vertex and a focus point is we only need to find the value of p to get the value of a. Now, in this case, the distance between the vertex and the focus point is 2 spaces. So our value of p is 2, which makes a equals 1 over 4 times 2, or a equals 1/8. Now, because the focus point also has to be inside of our parabola, that means our parabola is going to open up. So our parabola opens up, means a is a positive 1/8. So we have the vertex, we have the value of a, we can write y equals 1/8 times x minus 2 in parentheses squared plus 1. All right, finally part D. This time the vertex is at 3, -1. The focus is at 2, -1. So if we take a look at the graph of that, here's our vertex and focus. Our value of P, the distance between them, is 1. So P is equal to 1. So A is 1 over 4 times 1, which is 1/4. And because our focus has to be inside of our parabola is opening to the left. And if a parabola is opening to the left, that means the value of A has to be negative. So A is going to be negative 1/4. And we can write x equals negative 1/4 times y plus 1 in parentheses squared plus 3. So again, if it's opening up and down, A is positive opening up, A is negative opening down. For opening left or right, A is negative opening left, A is positive opening right. So again, we can look at x's are negative to the left, that's when A is negative. X's are positive to the right, that's when A would be positive, opening to the right. All right, so that about does it for this video. Thanks for watching.